Everybody, Craig DeLuz here again with the Firearms Policy Coalition. I have with me an author. His name is Greg Hopkins, and he wrote a book called A Time to Kill, The Myth of Christian Pacifism. First of all, tell us a little bit about the book and tell us what inspired you to write it.
What inspired me to write it, Craig, was the fact that when I got interested in guns as a Christian, I had to decide, what does turn the other cheek? What does live by the sword, die by the sword mean? Because if you're committed to Jesus and you say, okay, Jesus, you're the Lord of my life in 95%, but this gun stuff, butt out. Well, at least in that part of my life, I'm a practical atheist, you know? And so I decided I had to research it. And so back in 1980, I began looking in the Bible for myself, and I continued my researches over the years until in 2007, after I had closed my legal practice and everything, I decided to use my experience in the law and 40 years teaching Sunday school to people and make a Christian gun nut lawyer's view of the Bible.
Christian gun nut lawyer's view. Well, let's talk about that, because there are a number of pastors in inner cities or left-wing pastors who will come and they'll testify before legislative committees, or they'll talk in their communities, and they'll talk about the need to end gun violence, and right along with it, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for ending gun violence,
right?
But right along with it, they want to talk about getting rid of or restricting our right to keep and bear arms.
Well, which is strange, because first of all, the right to keep and bear arms is God-given. If you don't have life, you have nothing. And natural rights are things that are granted by God, and government can neither give them nor take them away. Blackstone taught us all this when American lawyers were putting together the Constitution and the Declaration, and they relied on him, and he said that very thing. And the other problem is that what has happened is pacifism was never taught by Jesus. It was never taught by any of his followers. It was, I explained, turn the other cheek and live by the sword, die by the sword, in their biblical context, but also all the places where Jesus endorsed the death penalty, where Jesus actually used force on the money changers in the temple. But not only that, but he, every place where he could have condemned war, where he could have condemned the ownerships of firearms, he actually endorsed it. And so when an armed man who is armed and armored is strong, then and ready, then the burglar can't come in and get him and take what he has. Now, of course, he was talking about binding Satan there, but he was referring to Exodus 22:3, that a man breaking in at night, the homeowner can kill him. You see, Jesus endorsed these things. And so it wasn't until the late 2nd century that so-called church fathers began to get the idea of pacifism into the Christian mindset. And these preachers are the descendants of very fuzzy and non-biblical thinking, and that's why it's subtitled The Myth of Christian Pacifism.
So if folks want to get it, where can they find this book?
It's on Amazon in both the Kindle format and the paperback format. It is on, you can order it from any bookstore, and you can get it on ebooks if you go to the Barnes & Noble website. We're hoping to be in the major bookstores here soon, and we hope by the end of the year to have an audio version of the book as well.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Greg Hopkins, A Time to Kill, The Myth About Christian Pacifism. Got to get it. I'm sure it's a great read. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm going to be reading my copy. See you guys later. Craig DeLuz, Firearms Policy Coalition.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you all.
If you like these updates, please share them with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel.